is going down. Oh, we see the SDS in the chat. We already see the bread emojis. Drop a bread, gang. Drop an SDS. Drop a bread emoji if you're vibing with your boy this morning. We're coming on a little bit earlier than normal. Because we did have some news drop last night. What was that news, you may say? What was it? It was the man, the myth, the legend, Deebo Samuel finally re-following the San Francisco 49ers. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Screaming from the mountaintops. And also, happy Cinco de Mayo to everyone out there. It is May the 5th. Shout out the squad. Shout out everyone. Get those SDSs in here. Drop those bread emojis. Smash that like button. Hey, it's you. Let's go, squad. All right. Let's talk about it. Because guess what? Whether you like it or not, in 2022, it is breaking news when a player follows or unfollows the team that they play for. Again, you don't have to like it. That's fine. But it is the reality that we live in. And guess what our reality is today? Our reality is that the San Francisco 49ers and Deebo Samuel appear to be inching closer. So that is good news. That's a good sign. We love to see that. And again, if you have been living under a rock, Deebo Samuel followed the San Francisco 49ers last night on Instagram, sent the world into a tizzy. But there it is. The man is back. So what do you feel about that, SDS? Do you feel like that this is an indication that the San Francisco 49ers and Deebo Samuel are moving closer together to get a deal done? Because let's face it, if we're Deebo Samuel, we do not want to play 2020 on our rookie deal. Absolutely not. But we don't really have a choice. We can't really hold out, because if we hold out, then the 49ers will be able to control me for another year. I'll lose all my money. I'm already not getting paid enough as a rookie. So, man, they got to get something done. Hopefully, Parag and Deebo's agent can get past the situation that had occurred earlier this offseason, and they can move closer towards being able to reconcile. Pay this man. I get it. The drama was the drama. We covered it from head to toe. Did it get annoying? Yes. Was it frustrating at times? Yes. Was it entertaining? Absolutely. But where we stand today, it does appear that they are inching closer back to being on the same page. Obviously, it started earlier this week with Deebo liking posts about quotes from John Lynch saying that he expects Deebo to remain a 49er. Now he went full straight. We're getting back together. We're getting back together. Again, we understand the world that we live in. Social media does matter. Again, whether you like it or not, you have to remember these types of athletes that are playing in today's game, they only know life with social media. I'm one of those rare breeds. I got to watch social media build and explode and develop into what it was. Starting, I had AIM. Who had AIM? Anyone? The little like AOL chat. That was like one of the first social medias, like AIM. Dating myself a little bit. But then where did we go from there? What do we go to MySpace? You got who's on my top 8? George Kittle on my top 8? Maybe. Then you go to Facebook and Twitter. And so I've been a part of the evolution. I've seen it change. I've seen when it was just a platform for you to say whatever the hell you want to now, if you say whatever you want, people are going to take note of it. And they're going to somehow connect it to something else. So it has been interesting. It has been interesting. I will say my MySpace playlist, goated. Absolutely goated. You could not mess with my MySpace playlist. I'm just saying. Absolutely goated. Jesse says, is it true Deebo's camp is meeting with the 49ers this week? I haven't heard that, but I also wouldn't be surprised. The 49ers, I believe, are getting on the field. I think they're actually on the field potentially yesterday. I think they're starting to do on-field conditioning and things like that. We did hear that coaches are able to be able to get with the team and start to interact with them for the first time of the year. So if Deebo's camp and the 49ers are coming together, that wouldn't surprise me at all, especially with the recent social media activity. So we'll see. But I see all the OGs in here. Everyone who had the MySpace pages, we see you. MySpace, the MySpace era was like we didn't even know what we had. We didn't even know how good we had it. I miss MySpace. I wish MySpace could come back, take over for freaking Facebook, and be the hub again that it once was. MySpace was way before its time. Legendary. Absolutely legendary. But now, what do we have? We have Instagram, we have TikTok, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have all these platforms. Now it's just oversaturation of social media. And we'll get into, I see you guys talking about it. We will get into the Lombardo tweet here pretty quickly. But I did want to take some time about this particular situation because it is the most breaking news, and I did want to talk about it. But don't just hear from me. Let's also hear, from Pat McAfee. I just wanted to share Pat's thoughts on Deebo following the 49ers because, again, it's been a divisive topic. It's 2020. People are still trying to wrap their heads around, does social media activity actually matter? Is that something we should pay attention to? Does that connect us to these things that we're trying to figure out? Well, I believe, and I've said from the very beginning, that yes, that's absolutely the case. That's what I do for a living. But I did want to share what Pat McAfee had to say on the particular matter. And we can listen to what he has to say. And then we can go from there. So again, this is Pat McAfee earlier today on Deebo Samuel, re-following San Francisco 49ers.
Deebo followed the 49ers.
Wow. Huge. Holy shit.
Okay, we'll talk about that in the next hour with AJ Hawk. That's a big deal in 2022. And people can bash it all they want. It's real.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You might not understand it, Chris Mad Dog Russo.
Okay?
Yeah. You might not understand it, but that's a big fucking thing.
Massive.
When you unfollow somebody, gone from my life.
Don't want them.
All right. You're all right.
All right. Never mind.
You're most personal, by the way. That's right in your hand. That's really close. Don't want to see this shit. I don't care who you draft. I don't care who you sign. I don't care about a throwback Thursday of me and George Kittle doing what we did all year, being your entire offense. I don't want to see it. I'm unfollowing.
See ya.
So whenever the decision comes, you go, all right, welcome back.
Kind of miss them.
That's a big deal.
Oh, can you imagine how jacked up they were this morning when they saw that?
Notification.
We got him. We got him.
We're back. Notification heard around Santa Clara, California.
Yeah.
Holy shit. There's probably text messages that were sent.
Mm-hmm.
Who talked to him last?
Yeah.
Who deserves a raise? Got Deebo back in the building. Talk about that next hour with AJ Hawk.
So there you have it. Again, just wanted to share Pat McAfee's thought. Shout out Pat, by the way, dude. Pat is becoming an authority in this space, an absolute authority. So again, just wanted to shout out Pat because hey, he's bringing whether we like to admit it or not, it's 2022 people. Someone had asked me what was my MySpace song though, bro. I had nothing but slaps. You guys already know nothing but slaps. But the last song that was on there it wasn't even by Miguel. So remember Sure Thing by Miguel? That song was on my MySpace literally 3 years before it became popular. Wasn't even from like Miguel where you can like, tag the artist, upload the artist. I had Miguel Sure Thing. You guys know that slap. You better know that slap. I had Miguel Sure Thing. I think that's one of the last songs that I had on there. And again, that was back in the day where you could literally sit on a song for years and no one would hear it unless you somehow found your way to LimeWire and you were able to download it. Bro, the music game back in the day, it was way different. You could literally sit on a song for 9 months before it came a top 20 song. It was wild time. It's not like today where you drop an album, you drop a mixtape, and boom, first day, everyone's heard it. It was a weird situation to how to get your music back in the day. But I believe that's still rocking on the page today. That song was a slap. I had Pretty Ricky on mine for sure. 100%. But it was all about hot new hip hop back in the day, baby. If you were on hot new hip hop, you were getting all the new slaps. But that's a story for a different day. That was the peak of when music was out. But hey, again, back to the conversation, talking about why today social media matters. Again, it's the world that we live in. It's the world that we live in today. Social media interaction, hearing from these athletes. Again, why do beat reporters exist? Beat reporters exist because they are able to get the access to the players, right? They're able to get into the locker room. They're able to get sound bites. They're able to hear these things. Well, guess what? That's not the only way we hear from players anymore. Now players can get on lives. Now players can hop on shows with us. Now players can move through social media. So the game has changed. And again, Deebo Samuel has again confirmed how this game has changed. And these players have way more control over their narratives than they ever have before, which is why we pay attention now more than ever before. So just quickly, let's poll the chat. I love reminiscing here about how we used to get our music back in the day and all the old school platforms that we used to rock. We're not aging ourselves at all, guys. We're not aging ourselves at all. LimeWire probably killed like 3 of my computers. Back before YouTube existed, you used to get your funny videos on LimeWire. Like all those first viral videos, like the chicken, give me my waffle fries. Like all those types of videos that first went viral, man, you had to get them through LimeWire. There's no other way. So you wanted to be in touch. You wanted to get free music. You wanted to get viral videos. You had to get a virus too. That was going to destroy your computer ultimately. Hey, I get down. I'm just saying, I get down. It was a little spicy sourdough. I'm pretty sourdough, but we got a little spice. We got a little spice into that sourdough mixture. So, oh man, I love it. I love it. I used to be all over it with the music. Definitely fallen off. But back in the day, man. This is facts. This is facts, man. Like, this is facts. If you had LimeWire back in the day, I know we're going way off course, but if you had LimeWire back in the day, oh boy, you definitely got in trouble. You definitely got in trouble one way or the other. One, because it killed your computer, or two, your probably parents found out what you were downloading on there. Oh, we should just do an episode one day on all the old school platforms that we used to have. We should do that. Detail wouldn't know about that. Detail, do you even know what LimeWire is? Frostwire. I remember Frostwire, Napster, all those good things. All right. Let's try to get it back on track. Do you guys think that this is, yes or no? Real easy. Spam it in the chat. Real easy. Yes or no? Are things headed in the right direction? Real easy. Drop it in the chat. Yes or no? Boop. Drop it in the chat. Boop, boop. Let's see what you think. Okay. Beautiful. Yes. Yes. Let's go, Deebo. Yes. 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 Ooh. One no. 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 Yes. So lots of yes. All right. So we can see people are feeling good about this situation, feeling like Deebo Samuel saga is heading towards the end. So that is good news. Again, someone shout out whoever said it in the chat. I think it was Jesse who said he's hearing rumors that they could be meeting this week. LimeWire users became SDS lifers. Love it. Absolutely love it. But yeah, the looks like here in the chat, the overall thought process is Deebo Samuel, San Francisco 49ers are headed towards reconciliation. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Again, we can be annoyed by how it went down, and we cannot like how it went down, and all those things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if Deebo Samuel is on this team, Deebo Samuel is helping the San Francisco 49ers move towards a championship. And ultimately, that's what I care about specifically. I love Deebo. I love the players. I do. But honestly, for me, what I care most about is seeing this team take that Lombardi trophy and hoist it in the air. And if the 49ers are going to do that this year, they need Deebo Samuel on that roster to help. Now, not saying that's what's going to happen. There's a long road ahead, and we will get into that a little bit. Because we had some reports, a report come out today. And I don't think it was necessarily meant to be a report. It was just someone on Twitter quote tweeting another tweet about Trey Lance. And boom, all of a sudden, it got re-aggregated as a report. And now 49ers fans have gotten hold of it. Let's take a look at it, just so we can all have a reference point here of what we are seeing. Let me pull it up. Okay. I'm going to get it up here. All right. This is what seemingly is going to be the talking point for today on 49ers Twitter. So we're, of course, going to talk about it. We're more coming on to talk about Deebo. But, hey, the goalpost has moved. It's funny. The second Deebo follows the 49ers, we're like, oh, okay, on to the next. We're good. But let's take a look. I'll show you what we are talking about. So Matt Lombardo here. If we look at Matt Lombardo, he is a national NFL reporter. I've seen him break a bunch of news. So, he's a national reporter for Fansided. I've actually seen him break a bunch of news and has been accurate about a lot of things. So I just want to say this about Matt. I have seen him be correct. I have seen him have factual information. I have seen him hit way more than I have seen him miss. So that's maybe why I'm coming at this particular tweet a little bit differently than some. I think, if you look in the replies, you can see 49ers fans have gotten a hold of it and they are letting him have it. They are letting him have it. But let's read the tweets. Let's talk about the context of it. Again, we have Hayden Winks, who is content and marketing for Underdogs Fantasy. He says, if Jimmy G stays on the 49ers this year, I'm convinced Shanahan wanted Mac Jones and was forced into Lance. Well, that is a talking point in of itself. That is a talking point in of itself. So that's interesting that someone would say that. Again, very interesting. Just interesting that, just someone posing, I guess, a hypothetical. I don't know. Did Kyle want Mac? Was he forced into Trey Lance? I don't know. But it's interesting. And then you have Matt Lombardo, who, again, I have seen him. I have seen him break news and be accurate with it. So I understand also the climate of being in this business. It is not a good time to be in the news breaking business. Thankfully, I'm glad I just talk about what happens in the news. If we happen to break something, it happens, but we feel pretty good about it. But this, on the other hand, you have Matt Lombardo saying, I have heard that the 49ers staff has been continually underwhelmed by Trey Lance. Now, what does that mean? Continually underwhelmed by Trey Lance. Well, let's break it down. I was at training camp last year. How many starting reps did Trey Lance get? 5? How are you supposed to be overwhelming in that scenario? Because if we go back, and I look through my training camp notes, the second team offensive line was getting demolished by the 49ers defensive line. As we know, was one of the strongest groups, on our team all throughout the year. Guess what? Our second string offensive line, probably one of our weakest groups of the year. And you also have to remember in training camp, Trent Williams did not play in team period. He did not at all training camp. Do you know who did? Jalen Moore. Jalen Moore was the starting left tackle all of training camp. So not only was the starting line, was Trey not playing behind the starting line, but even the starting line wasn't the starting line. The starting line didn't have Trent Williams. So when then you bumped down to the second string, who'd you have? You had Jake Brendel, Colton McKivitz, you had Compton, you had Aaron Banks going up against a stout defensive line. So just that context alone, how would Trey be overwhelmed? How can he be overwhelming opposed to underwhelming? He really didn't get a lot of opportunities, at least from what they showed in training camp. They didn't set him up for success in training camp, even when he was being effective. And he did look like the best quarterback on the field. I just never saw a situation where they gave him an opportunity to play. So I think context matters here, but it's just interesting to hear because there have been two narratives that are starting. It's like a boat, driving through the water and they're creating a wake. One of the wakes is Trey Lance is ready to go. The 49ers believe in Trey Lance and he's going to be the quarterback of the future. And the other wake is that he's not ready and that, like he needs more work. And like this quiet undertone that like maybe the 49ers drafted the wrong guy. So it's interesting because we have one boat moving. It's the 49ers. The 49ers, they're driving. They're plowing through the water. They got like the wake skaters on the back. They're kicking up that big swell off the back of their boat. But one of those wakes is Trey is ready. One of those wakes is that he's not. And both keep kicking out information at about the same rate. So, again, I don't believe anything that I hear right off the bat. All right? We know how this works here. We know how this works here. So, we're skeptical. However, I'm not going to completely eradicate it. I'm not going to completely eradicate it because to me, that would be me just blindly just saying something isn't truthful when I don't know if it is or not. I don't know. That's why I wear this, because this helps me kind of filter like what's truthful, what's not truthful. How do we connect this to past situations? How do we connect this to past narratives? So for me, I got this thing on, so I'm protected. I'm okay. I don't feel one. I don't feel one way or the other. I just find it interesting that it's coming from a former 49er staff member, right? A former 49er staff member. Okay, well, what does that mean? Look at the 49er staff. The entire offensive staff doesn't exist anymore. Where's Mike McDaniel? He's in Miami. Where's Wes Welker? He's in Miami. Where's John Embry? He's in Miami. Where's the running back coach? He's laid up with knee surgery. Where's, where are all their assistant offensive line coaches? They went to college. Where's Scangarello? He's gone. They lost a lot of staff, and for the first time ever. And it wasn't all from promotion. Like some guys made lateral moves. A lot of guys made lateral moves. So it's interesting. Again, I don't just automatically discredit anything. I log it. Doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean it's false. But I log it and filter it through the tinfoil hat. So I find it interesting because I also found it interesting listening to Frank Gore comment on the quarterback situation. But before we get into Frank Gore, let me see what Corey's saying. Corey is saying here, facts. Lance gets more hate than any other young quarterback. That's true. That's a fact. He was supposed to be coming to the best situation of the five. Starting to look like the Patriots was the best situation for any quarterback. Because the Patriots, in my opinion, handled it the best. They had Cam Newton, right? Very similar to Jimmy Garoppolo. Very similar in the sense of veteran, dude's a former MVP, went to the Super Bowl, has all the cachet, doing all the workouts with Kendrick Bourne and all the wide receivers, being a team leader, moving through the year as the leader. But the second they got into like OTAs and into camp, they're like, you know what? We don't got to do this. Thank you, Cam. Quarterback of the future's here. We are going to cut ties. Nothing personal. But we drafted Mac Jones in the first round for a reason. We're going to give him this opportunity, and we're not going to make it harder on him. Well, unfortunately, didn't happen that way for the San Francisco 49ers. They kept Jimmy, and as we know, it's been a roller coaster ever since. And I would imagine that has an impact on a young quarterback. So, gonna be interesting. But yeah, I don't know if I don't. It was considered the best situation, but is it the best situation with how it's gone? I don't know. We saw one quarterback develop. We have one quarterback that this fan base cannot like wrap their heads around, like what the development should look like. Jesse says, didn't surgery derail the trade from Jimmy Garoppolo? Again, coming back to Frank Gore, that's the exact way it was worded from Frank Gore. Now, again, I'm not holding Frank's feet to the fire. I know I say things out of turn that could be misconstrued in other ways. So I understand, just because, hey, I talk a lot and just say things sometimes, and it happens. But when Frank was talking about it, he did make it sound like that the 49ers had a deal in place. Like it was like, well, yeah, we got to figure it out. We got Jimmy traded. Like we're getting our compensation for him, and it felt like Jimmy Garoppolo. And again, the way he phrased it was like they had a deal. They had a deal. Then Jimmy Garoppolo got surgery. It's not the first time we've seen a 49ers quarterback use surgery to affect roster movement. It isn't, sadly. I wish it was. I wish this wasn't the first time that we had been through this. But it's not the first time we've seen this. So it does feel like that. The timing, the way they keep speaking about it, it feels like Jimmy, again, it's pure speculation, pure just, observing the way I do and hearing and trying to piece things together. It does sound like the 49ers had a deal or a potential deal in place, and he got unadvised surgery, which killed the trade. So as a result, Jimmy's still here. 49ers aren't going to cut him, because if they do, that's $7.5 million down the drain. And then he gets to go where he wants. And guess what? The 49ers don't want Jimmy to go to Seattle. They don't want Jimmy to go to Seattle. Do you want Jimmy to go to Seattle? I know some fans would like, they don't care. They think Jimmy's, washed and all that kind of stuff, where they'd be like, yeah, let him go to Seattle. I just get this feeling, and I think we understand, one of the reasons why Kyle decided to trade up to 3 is because that relationship with Jimmy was deteriorating. And that started deteriorating after the Super Bowl. That started in 2020. And you could sense it. You could feel it. You could feel that energy through the TV. So it would just be our type of luck. Jimmy goes up north, revives his career in Seattle. The Seattle dominance continues, but at the helms of Jimmy Garoppolo, San Francisco 49ers do not want that. They do not want that at all. I know a lot of fans don't think that's a range of outcome, but I think it is a range of outcome, because I think good old Pistol Pete wants to run the football, wants a guy who can operate and manage an offense and get them in the right spot. So I feel like Pistol Pete, especially with good old, what's his name? Drew Lock and Geno Smith. I think we would both agree that Jamie Garoppolo would be an upgrade over those two. So they don't want to let him go up there for free. Shane says we need to just trade Jimmy to Seattle for a second. We know all of his weaknesses, and it shouldn't be hard to beat him. Again, it shouldn't be hard, but Jimmy's that guy who figures out how to win games. Whether we like it or not, he's that guy who figures out how to win games. So, and something tells me with, the luck that we have had over the past decade, he would find a way to beat us. Can't stand it. I can't stand it. But again, back to the situation at hand. Matt Lombardo is reporting. It's not necessarily a report. He's kind of saying what he's heard, and it's turned into that. But he did say, I have heard that 49ers staff has been continually underwhelmed by Trey Lance. Now, I guess I'll pose the question this question to you in the chat. I'll pose it to you guys. Do you think that's true? Do you think that the massive staff changes only on the offensive side, the massive staff changes on the offensive side, do you think things handled like how it was, decided who's going to be the pick at 3? Is there any weight to this, or is this just one of those days? It's just one of those days where someone heard something, and I get listen, I hear a lot of things too, but I don't report on them. So, and like I said, I don't think this is a report either, but it's just one of those things now that we're going to have to debate, because now we don't have to argue about Deebo anymore. We don't have to argue about Deebo. And now we get to argue about, is, again, Trey Lance ready? So, and I will say this. If you have taken a look at how this tweet's been reacted to, I don't think he's trying to get his follower count up. He's getting harassed right now by 49er fans. 49er fans are at Lombardo's neck. You know better to speak badly about the young king. You should know, because we have a ravenous fan base. And again, you don't want that smoke. And Corey's exactly. Report or not, shut up. Point proven, Corey. Point proven. You don't want to get on this fan base's bad side, because they'll come at your throat. But it's I mean, again, it's now a talking point. It's going to be a situation of, like, do we believe that is an actual situation? Is it not? I don't know, man. I don't know. But does that bring back up the Jimmy Garoppolo conversation? Does that bring back up, is Jimmy going to be here in this locker room in 2022? If I had to give my personal opinion, which has remained since last offseason, Jimmy Garoppolo should be so far away from this team that he can't even, I don't even know what the analogy would be. Like, you just can't. Like, I get it. You want value, because this is a business. Before the football is played, it's a business. And, these general managers, these front offices, they want to win too. They're very competitive. So they don't want to lose on value. They don't want to lose on trades or players or return on investment, because they invested a second round into them and they want to get that return, which I understand. But at a certain point, shout out Twitch gods, let's go. But at a certain point, how much is that value worth if you're devaluing your ultimate asset that is worth 3 first-round picks and a third, whatever they gave up for Trey, at what point are you starting to devalue that guy? At what point are you you're trying to kind of balance, right? You're trying to balance it. Like, we want value for Jimmy, but we want to get value out of Trey. Well, guess what? Keeping Jimmy devalues Trey and his experience and that he needs to move forward. So I really hope they don't keep him in training camp. Again, I get it. You want value. I get it. I want picks too. But the boy had surgery, and at a certain point, oh boy, we've seen what happens when you keep that man around. He's going to do exactly what he does. He's going to win over the locker room, and they're somehow going to get his butt on the field if they keep Jimmy Garoppolo on this roster in 2022. Jerome says again, what staff? The janitor staff? Hey, janitors know what's up, man. No hating on the janitors. My goodness. The new staff hasn't really even worked with Trey yet. That's true. Brian Greasy hasn't worked with him. Anthony Lynn hasn't worked with him. Leonard Hakerson hasn't worked with him. So you're right. I mean, the new staff really hasn't, but I think what Matt is talking about, he's talking about the staff that has left the 49ers. Fear the Great says nothing that is said matters until Trey has a full season and starts to evaluate. Trey has to start now and go through growing pains since they gave up the picks to get him. And this is the most accurate thing. And that's kind of what I started. I kind of started out as, right? Like how can he be overwhelmed? Because again, if he's been underwhelming, how have you positioned him for success? How have you done that? You haven't. Like, whether we want to admit it or not, the San Francisco 49ers have not set up Trey Lance for success. They have not built an environment of belief, an environment of success around Trey Lance. They have not. And apparently they didn't care about doing that. They didn't seem to put that as like an emphasis, as like it's a high priority. Like, okay, we have Jimmy. Jimmy clearly has won the locker room, so we're gonna let him ride it out. But we can't let Jimmy ride and then have Trey spiral into essentially a hole of depression, because the weight of the world is on his shoulders as a 21-year-old kid who's a third round, number 3 overall pick, who's expected to start right away. Which, again, you don't start right away. You're instantly inferring that he's not ready, and he may maybe not have been. But that's what you get for taking a 21-year-old, freshly 20. I think he was 20 when he was drafted. But 21-year-old when you did. So you can't have it both. Can't have it both ways. But I agree with this. I agree. Not just one season either. Like, it's going to be like at least 2. I need at least, what is it? 34 games. I need 34 games from Trey Lance. I need 34. You give me 34 games. Again, 49ers paid Jimmy Garoppolo 5 games. They gave him $48 million guaranteed. 5. I need 34 games from Trey Lance to know exactly what Trey Lance. That's 2 seasons. 2 seasons. Not counting last year. Give me 2 full years. Give me 2 full years with a system built around him, not around Jimmy, built around him. And then let me see how it works. Let me see how the offense operates. Let me see how he evolves. Let me see how that works. I need that because, again, we're taking a 21-year-old who is still maturing just as a 21-year-old, not let alone a football player, just as a person. He's still growing and he's still maturing and he's still developing into who he will be. He's not there yet. So, how can we totally expect to assume that a 21-year-old who isn't there where he needs to be just from a human standpoint would be there exactly right away from a football standpoint, especially after not playing in 2020 and needing some time. But that's the part of it. That's why I love this game. That's why I love talking about football because it's about development. It's about taking these guys for what they are in college and growing them and nurturing them into who they should be. That's should how we look at all these players. We look at Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson was a fire pick at 61, but he still needs seasoning. He still needs to develop. He's good as he is now, but he has the potential to be great if he can sharpen up his technique, get more dialed in with his hands and things like that. So same thing applies to Trey, if not more than any prospect that we've seen in a while. He's a young kid. At the end of the day, I can't imagine. I'm sure we got some older uh, men and women in this chat that are older than let's say 25. Do you guys remember how it was when you were 21? I remember how I was when I was 21. I probably damn near still thought I was like 18 when I was 21. Like good for Trey. Like he's gonna have some time, and we should all kind of recognize that. And that's why I think there shouldn't be like so much like expectation that he needs to be successful now. That is going to come with development. That is going to come with experience. Again, why are we able to do anything that we do now? It's because we've had life experiences and we can move and use those experiences to be like, we're not going to make that mistake anymore. The same thing can be applied to football in this sense. This guy needs to go out and play at the NFL level, get beat up a little bit, make mistakes, do things that he's not supposed to do so that he can rely on those moments in time when it matters. When the game is on the line, he already has those instincts built into him. I remember, week 3 of this particular game, I did this, and I remember when I went head to head against 2 defenders against the Cardinals, and I got stoned. Well, guess what? I'm going to take an angle this time. I'm not going head. I'm going to just angle towards the pylon. That's how you learn. You learn in real time. Yeah, you can learn on the chalkboard. You can learn on the practice field. You can get better, but when you're on the field, all that goes out the window and it's just instincts. Of course, it's dialing in to the technique, it's dialing into the play calling, but it's also relying on your past experience in an instinctual way where you don't have to think about it. You react based on the way you've been wired and your past experiences. Well, guess what? That's a part of his developmental process. You have to allow him to do that. Part of Trey being successful is allowing Trey to fail without killing him. And I think that's where, when we look at the broad fan base when it comes to this topic, Trey Lance, is he ready? Is he not? Why would he be ready? Why would he be ready? He didn't play in 2020. He's 21 years old. He's played in 2 games, 10 quarters, I wouldn't be ready. Neither would you. So that's why we have to make him ready. We have to set him up to be ready. That's why this conversation about is he ready or is he not ready is kind of silly, in my opinion, because he has to play to be able to get ready. I don't know. It's just, that's my take on it, at least. That's my take on it. I know a lot of people are going to see Trey Lance, number 3 overall pick, has to be ready, has to be plug and play. Look at what Mac Jones did. Well, Mac Jones is a much different case than Trey Lance. So, again, I mean, I'll say this about Mac Jones. When I was at the Senior Bowl and I was covering the Senior Bowl and Mac Jones was there, it was in Alabama, right? So it's in Alabama. That's the Alabama quarterback. Everyone was there for Mac Jones. The media wanted to talk to Mac Jones, ESPN, NFL Network. The way I watched Mac Jones move, he looked like he had been there. He had done that before. He was already living the life of a pro NFL quarterback already by going to Alabama. Those things are different. Like, he has those life experiences of having to speak to the media every day, have a huge fan base that rivals NFL teams. Hell, Alabama probably has a bigger fan base and a bigger presence and following than half the NFL teams in the league. So it's just, those experiences are different. So you got to let him get up to speed. But with Trey, he's done a phenomenal job of handling the media and being able to move, at least from what we've seen in that particular situation. So I just think it's an interesting situation and all that good stuff. I think it's pretty darn interesting. Let's see here. I'm looking at the chat real quick. What are you guys talking about? But now's the time. Now's the time. It's time to put Trey in. It's time to give him the experience. Time to let him thrive. Time to let him thrive. But yeah, this is the talking point of the day. Again, coaches are saying, or I have heard, that 49ers staff has been continually underwhelmed by Trey Lance. So we'll see. Let's do this. I think the chat is, I'm trying to get a gauge on the chat. What do you guys think about Trey Lance? Will Trey Lance have a successful 2022 season? Let's see what you guys think. I want to gauge the chat. Simple yes or no. Again, what do we define success? We define success as above 500. Meaning if they have won more games than they've lost, then that means they've been, I would call that a successful year for Trey. If Trey Lance can win more games than he loses, I call that a successful year. I'm not gonna worry about statistics. I'm not gonna worry about interceptions, because I'm gonna grant the young man that. And again, if you have a problem with the turnover ratio, I implore you to go look at Peyton Manning's rookie season. I implore you to go look at his rookie season and just understand what development looks like. So, from a quick poll in the chat, Again, the question was, will Trey Lance be successful next season? And what we define success as above 500, meaning he's won more games than he's lost. And off the bat, quickly, we see a yes. We see a yes. Mitch says, we can win now if Jimmy gives us the better chance after the early failed Alex Smith project. I'm fine with keeping Jimmy. Sargent says, absolutely, Trey Lance can win now. Yes. Brian says no. Ricardo says no. Mitch says no. April says, I really hope he does, but what the F do I know? Jason says yes. Lance says yes. AJ says 5 touchdowns, 600 yards, 2 interceptions, 97 passer rating is pretty good to me. Chasing Gold said it's going to be up and down just like any rookie, 100%, because that's what he is. I call him a rookie still. And I believe he's a rookie. I think he's going to go in. I think he was treated like it really did feel like last year was a redshirt year for him, in the sense of didn't feel like they were grooming him to be the starter. It just really didn't, unless they were like trying to galaxy brain a quarterback competition. But again, I was there and I was trying to be like, I think it's a quarterback competition because it should be, because I'm watching a quarterback make throws all over the field that Jimmy just is not. And I'm like, so in my brain, again, I am getting better. I'm getting better at the politics of football. I'm getting better at it. It's not something that I love, It's not something that I love, but I'm getting better at the politics of football, and I do credit this for that. So, but I feel like there you think there's politics at the high school level. Okay. Then you think you're going to go to college and it's going to get better. Oh, no, guess what? There's more politics. Oh, okay. Well, you're at the college level and you think you're going to get to the NFL and it's just straight competition, no roster politics involved. And then you realize, you know what? There's more roster politics at the NFL level. So, I thought last year was like I said, I was like, I don't see how there's any reason why this isn't an open competition. I'll never forget Jimmy Garoppolo like staying after practice, throwing deep balls after Trey Lance on day one of padded practice was airing balls all over the field to everyone. And it just like, you could sense that like Jimmy like was feeling it, but they never really gave him the opportunity. They've reported on it. They said, well, Trey Lance started out really, really, really hot, and then he kind of dipped down. That's because I kind of watched it. They never gave him an opportunity. They never actually said, go run with the first team. Let's actually see how you look with the first unit and see if you deserve more reps. They actually never did that. They never did that. And so, again, that's why I'm like, were they galaxy braining a quarterback competition where they didn't want Jimmy to feel like he was getting undermined? But it's like, you already drafted the kid. Like, why wouldn't you throw him out there with the first team and just see what happens? They didn't do that. And if they did, half of those plays were designed to run plays. They weren't even, it wasn't even the normal offense. It was a weird, for me, it was weird. For me, looking at it through the lens of like competition reigns supreme. And if you have a veteran and a rookie and they're at the same level, then you need to start giving that rookie a little bit more leash and seeing if he can actually overtake, not just like kind of pigeonhole him and then be like, maybe he's better. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird for me. to watch, and not because I'd never even watched a quarterback competition before in training camp. I've never experienced that. I've never, had a seen that for me personally. Like when I think of all the teams that I played for, the quarterback was pretty ironed out, high school and in college. It's like there never really was a competition that I personally experienced at that position. But so that was my. I'll take the rookie hit on that one for me personally. Again, I've never assessed a rookie versus a veteran in training camp. That was the first time. Shout out, Coach. Appreciate the donation. The homie. Shout out, Coach. He says, only time will tell. Realistically, Trey will struggle. It's inevitable. Facts. There's a duality with our fan base. Those who just want a sixth ring at all costs, and fans who care about the future. Fans expecting instant results are nuts. Woo! I don't think he's wrong. Like, listen, I want a six ring too, but I also understand that there's also development involved in that it's not Madden. You can't take a high traits guy and then just will him to make plays. He has to go through it. He has to build that callus. He has to have legitimate experience. He has to do it. And when you do it, just like we all recognize, you're not going to be great at it. You can be good at something when you first start it, but to be truly great and master something, you need repetitions. You need to get to the mountaintop, and you need to fall off that mountaintop, and you need to reclimb that mountaintop, and then you need to fall back down. You need to reclimb it so that you can understand what it's like to be in that world and not get too high and not get too low and be able to develop at a pace where you should. So I agree. I think Trey will struggle, but I'm here for that struggle. Like, I don't see struggle as a necessarily bad thing. It's expected. He's 21. He hasn't had a full year of starting in the NFL. Hell, he hasn't started a full year since 2019. Guys, it's 2020. It's 2020. Excuse me. It's 2022. It's 2022. Trey Lance had 1 year in college. He played at extremely high level, but he also played in a system that wasn't ultra dependent on him. He was a cog in the system, and he was phenomenal in that system. But now, heading into the NFL, and last time he did it was 2019, he is going to be more integral, a more centerpiece to this particular system. So there's more pressure. There's more you have to know. There's more intricacies involved. So, and he's going to be learning all these things still for the first time and implementing them for the first time. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, and it does feel like we got Matt Lombardo kind of jump started us on our next topic of or at least our next point of emphasis for the next couple of weeks here until we start seeing some Trey Lance highlight clips or something to back the dogs off, because I get it. We want to win now. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired. This team as they know, as we know, should have at least one ring. At least one. At least one by now. If you've been a fan since 95. A fan since 95 should have at least one. Theoretically. But I mean, it's got to be a situation. All right, hold on one second. Let's see. What do we want to do here? I have an idea. Again, we did come on here talking about this. I'll show it really quickly. I have to go look at something really quickly, but hold on one second. Let me go here.
Deebo followed
That's
the
right.
49ers.
Wow.
Huge.
Holy shit.
Okay, we'll talk about that in the next hour with AJ Hawk. That's a big deal in 2022. And people can bash it all they want. It's real.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You might not understand it, Chris Mad Dog Russo. Okay?
Yeah.
You might not understand it, but that's a big fucking thing.
Massive.
When you unfollow somebody, gone from my life.
Don't want them.
All right, you're allowed back in.
All right. Never mind.
Your most personal, by the way. That's right in your hand. That's really close. Don't want to see this shit. I don't care who you draft. I don't care who you sign. I don't care about a throwback Thursday of me and George Kittle doing what we did all year, being your entire offense. I don't want to see it. I'm unfollow it.
See ya.
So whenever the decision comes, you go, all right, welcome back.
Kind of miss them.
That's a big deal.
Oh, can you imagine how jacked up they were this morning when they saw that?
Oh, notification.
We got him. We're back.
Notification heard around Santa Clara, California.
Yeah.
Holy shit. There's probably text messages that were sent.
Mm-hmm.
What? Who talked to him last?
Yeah.
Who deserves a raise? Got Deebo back in the building. Talk about that next hour with AJ Hawk.
Socks are the #1 most requested item in homeless shelters. Underwear is #2. And t-shirts are #3.
That's why we make incredibly comfortable
All right.
socks, underwear.
And t-shirts. And we donate one for
Every one you buy.
Sorry about that. All right, hold on. Okay, I'm back. My apologies. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Jason says week 18, Rams up 17-3, and people were in the 49ers IG comments section spamming to start Trey, and now folks are saying he's a bust, not ready, etc. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's definitely a very divisive topic, which it shouldn't be. Like, it really shouldn't be a divisive topic. It should be pretty straightforward. It should be pretty straightforward, I would say. But again, we live in a world with not a lot of clear-cut things that you would assume would be straightforward, but they just aren't. Like, two things can be true. Like, we can have high expectation for Trey Lance because he was the #3 overall pick, but we can also understand that he needs time to develop. Both things can be true. We can have high expectation while understanding there will be a learning curve. While understanding there will be bumps and bruises. He won't be, I don't know. He could be Patrick Mahomes. He could not. It could take him a little bit more time. It could not. again, completely different. They have completely different developmental paths. Completely different developmental paths. Like, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. So, and again, great question. How do you develop Trey? You let him play. You let him play. You let him be the quarterback. What is the quarterback? Quarterback is the leader of the team. Quarterback is, again, I mean, look at all the comments that Ryan Tannehill is under fire for, right? Tannehill is under fire because he said he's not going to mentor. It's not his job to mentor Malik Willis. When in reality, maybe it's not. His job is to win football games. His job is to get everyone ready, whether that is the backup or whether that's his wide receivers or his running back. But again, you have to be able to, at a certain point, be able to play. You have to. You have to be able to get in there and you have to play to truly be able to develop. Shout out, Coach. Appreciate you, my boy. Coach says, question. Would Niner fans take a guaranteed Super Bowl in Trey's first year as a starter, but he turns out to be a bust? Or Trey becomes a top 5, but no guarantee of a Super Bowl? I may be screwing up the question. No, I hear what you're saying. It's basically, what do you value most? You're asking fans to put what they value the most on the table. Do they value an individual player's development, or do they value the team winning a Super Bowl? Which comes first? I think that's a good question. I think it's going to cause some people to think. I know what my answer is, but I do want to see what the thought process here is in the chat. So far, seen a lot of get that Super Bowl. Seeing a lot of get that Super Bowl. Seeing a lot of, now we're seeing some top 5. So you can go in a lot of different directions, right? You get that Super Bowl now, but what does that mean? Does that mean 5, 6 years of, like, how long is that drought? If Trey Lance is a bust, then that sets you back potentially another 5, 10 years, right? But just because Trey Lance becomes a top, there's no guarantee of a Super Bowl, doesn't mean he doesn't win a Super Bowl. I think that's the main clarification in this question, is that just because Trey isn't guaranteed a Super Bowl doesn't mean he doesn't win 5 Super Bowls. Because now, I think this is a good question, Coach, and this is actually a question that we can kind of spin on a little bit here. Because again, okay, guaranteed Super Bowl. A lot of people want that ring and would do anything for that ring and would sacrifice 10 years of being mediocre just get that 6th ring, just hold them over. Especially this fan base who's desperate for that ring. But if Trey Lance is a top 5 quarterback, and just because it's not guaranteed, do they win more Super Bowls than just one guaranteed? I would argue that if Trey Lance is a top 5 quarterback, we're looking at a dynastic type of run with Trey under center, because with his career, that means he's starting out with weapons like Deebo Samuel. He's starting out with guys like George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Danny Gray, Jawan Jennings, Trent Williams, Kyle Juszczyk, Elijah Mitchell coming into his own. This is a pretty solid group around him. But if he becomes a 5-year starter, that means eventually he will be bringing others along. And that, let's say Trent eventually retires. And let's say Deebo does maybe ultimately go to a new team and Kittle, gets long in the tooth in a couple years or so. You still have Trey Lance as a top 5 quarterback. And if Trey Lance is a top 5 quarterback and he's with Kyle Shanahan, and we see that for the first time, we see a top 5 quarterback. We think back to like Deshaun Watson, like back when Deshaun Watson was a massage enthusiast, and you could think of like, well, if we give you like just this example, if we give you Trey Lance now, he'll win a Super Bowl, but then he'll be a bust. Or we'll give you Deshaun Watson, who was a top 5 quarterback at the time, and see what happens. You're not guaranteed a Super Bowl, but hey, you get a top 5 quarterback, and then you build around it. You could argue the 49ers are winning 2, 3, 4 Super Bowls. I asked this question on Twitter not too long ago about if the 49ers drafted Deshaun Watson, where would they be? And a lot of people, once they got past the massage situation, they're like, yeah, we probably have 2 rings by now. That's kind of along this line. It's kind of along this line is that, top 5 quarterback, not guaranteed a Super Bowl, but you probably win more than one if you have a top 5 quarterback with Trey Lance. I like that question. You think a lot about that question. Good question, Coach. Shout out Cap, my boy. Appreciate you, man. Shout out everyone today. Showing your boy, sending me super chats. I appreciate that. Cap says, we should have ran with Trey the rest of the season after the Texans game. Jimmy was injured the whole time, and because of that, he had to get surgery late, and now we're stuck with him longer than our front office wanted him. How much confidence do you think that took out of Trey Lance? Just imagine that. The quarterback in your room that's ahead of you has a sprained AC joint in his throwing shoulder and a torn UCL ligament in his throwing hand, and they still won't start you. Just think of that like in a vacuum. Just think of that scenario in a vacuum. The starter is severely injured. Sprained AC joint in the shoulder. Sprained or torn UCL ligament in the hand. He can barely grip the football. And they still won't put their number 3 overall draft pick in to let the man rest a little bit. Maybe take a playoff, Jimmy. Maybe take a playoff. Maybe sit down on the bench. Let that thing heal for a week or 2. I mean, we did get this young quarterback, and we spent a lot on him. So it's not like you're going from Jimmy to CJ Beathard, and no disrespect to CJ Beathard. I love CJ. But it's not like you're going from Jimmy Garoppolo to like name some unnamed like random like Dan Orlovsky, some like Sean Hill. It's not like you're going to like JT O'Sullivan. This is Trey Lance. Like, that's interesting. I mean, Jimmy's right arm was effectively falling off, and they wouldn't take him out. And ultimately, he suffered an injury that has maintained him onto this roster. Again, what they should have been afraid of One, when they decided to keep him and play him. And if they wanted to move off of him, this is one of the reasons that this would have been one of the risk analysis things that they probably did. All right, well, what if we keep Jimmy, but we only want him for a year, but what if he gets hurt? What happens then? What if he has to have surgery and he can't pass a physical? I guarantee you they had those conversations, but it actually happened. So now they're dealing with it. So it's such a weird situation to be in. Like, it shouldn't be that difficult. I don't think it should be that difficult. Again, lots of moving parts. I'm not in an NFL building. Never been in an NFL building. So I can't pretend to speak like I have like experience in that, but hey, I evaluate for a living. So I feel like I can evaluate these types of situations. So it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. I don't know. Do we really think they're going to bring Jimmy back? Do they think that because from my understanding, Jimmy Garoppolo's contract becomes fully guaranteed by the start of training camp. It's either start of training camp or week 1. I might be misspeaking. It's at the start of one of those situations. It's at the start of one. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. I really don't know. Jeffrey, we spent a lot of time talking about it, but again, truth, we don't know. We don't know. Because we've heard both sides. We've heard conflicting information both ways from people I respect and hold, again, guys that aren't named Matt Lombardo, guys that are named Frank Gore. Like, I respect their opinions. I respect their evaluations. And theirs kind of matches what Lombardo's saying. But then I've also heard the opposite. I've also heard, of course, the 49ers think very highly of Trey. And they think he came along late. And this, that, and the other thing. So it's like, again, it's the 49ers are a boat. They're kicking off a wake off each side. One side saying he's ready, the other side saying he's not. And it feels pretty even. So not discount, but I've also tried to preface it in the fact that he's not going to be ready until he gets reps. He's not going to be ready until you give him the opportunity to be ready. So I don't expect him to be ready. So to use that as like kind of like you're weaponizing it, like weaponizing he's not ready to kind of tear him down. He shouldn't be ready. Like we should all have the thought process that he's not ready. But that's not a bad thing. People are turning that into a bad thing. Why would he be ready? How many starter reps was he given last year? He was thrown into the Seattle game at halftime. Started against Arizona. Was it a great game? No, it was a weird game plan. But he also kept him in that game. Okay. Well, he had to start against the Texans. He beat the Texans. Showed promise against the Texans. Once again, the scheme settled down and the play calling settled down. Then he started to find his rhythm. And, I've heard that players like on the sideline were like, come on, Channy, just call your game. What are you doing? Quit calling this BS. Just call your game. Just call the dang game, just like you would for Jimmy. Just call it for Trey. What are we doing? Why are we doing two offenses? Why are we doing these two different types of things? We never practice what Trey does. Why are we calling it that way? Just do it the same way. And then what happened? The offense started working. It started looking like an offense. So again, it's just thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do you like Josh Allen? Do you guys think Josh Allen is a good quarterback? Do you think Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the league? Well, guess what? He wasn't like that as a rookie. Well, guess what? He wasn't like that in year 2. Not even close. Guess when the light bulb turned on? Year 3. Guess how many snaps? 32 starting games. It took him having 32 starting games to be able to become who he was. Exactly why I'm giving Trey Lance 2 seasons. 2 seasons before we pull out the pitchforks, before we start to say he's not ready. Josh Allen wasn't ready. How did he get ready? He played. And what happened with Josh when he played? He struggled. And what did he do? He learned from his struggles and then became a superstar. Not everyone's the same. Not everyone is comparable. Everyone has their own path. But we got to keep that same energy that we keep with Josh Allen. We can't be drafting Josh Allen as a top 5 quarterback in our fantasy leagues without understanding that it took him time to be able to get that type of cachet, to be able to build up to what he's going to be. They let him do it. They built again. I knocked Josh Allen. One, I did not think anyone would give him that patience. I didn't think anyone would do it. Did he have all the physical tools in the world? Yep. Who has all the physical tools in the world? Trey. What's with Trey? Oh, he needs experience. He's not ready. Well, neither was Josh Allen. But how do we talk about Josh Allen now? What did they do with Josh Allen? They built an environment of belief around him. What did they do? They went out and traded him and got him a number 1 wide receiver in Stephon Diggs. They built around him. They built and ensured that he can be confident and build confidence around him. I haven't seen the 49ers do that yet. So if there's a model to look at the Bills. Look at how they managed and developed their quarterback. We should be trying to replicate and mimic the same type of developmental patterns. Got to give him time. Got to build an environment of belief. You can't build an environment of doubt around a young kid with the pressure of the world on his back and expect him to be bulletproof. That is a miscalculation, in my opinion. If you think you can do that and build an environment of doubt around a young player and think he's just going to be bulletproof and just think he ain't going to take any hits, or you don't think he could be underwhelming, that is a you problem. That's how I perceive it. Again, I'm a big developmental guy, and a big part in development, in my opinion, especially with someone like that, is to build an environment of belief. It starts there. We believe in you, Trey, to go out and make mistakes. We believe in you to go out there and learn on the job. But if you keep hearing over and over again that, we just really don't want to do that. We don't want to live through your struggles. We want you to be good now, and we don't want to live through your struggles. We don't want to live through your growing pains. feels like an environment of doubt. Feels like, hey, we don't believe in you enough to grow with you through that situation. So I don't know. We can spin our wheels about this all day. We could spin our wheels about this all day. But honestly, if you're asking my opinion, look at the Buffalo Bills. Look at how they managed Josh Allen. Very similar prospects. I would even go as far to say Josh Allen was, again, I think he was lesser of a prospect than Trey Lance. I believe Josh Allen was lesser of a prospect than Trey Lance, because when Josh Allen was at Minnesota, he was not very good. He made great throws and you could see the talent, but he wasn't consistent. And he made a lot of boneheaded mistakes in college. They allowed him to correct that and get on the same page in college. Or sorry, with the Bills. But it's that time of the offseason. We are back to arguing about the quarterback. Wouldn't expect it to be any other way up until this point. So the reason I did start this live particularly early is because I wanted to get this conversation out of the way. I do want to start focusing on more dialing into prospects. Got some tape. We'll be able to start diving into the tape and start looking at these prospects, why we like them, what we think they are, how they could fit into the scheme, and what we think we can do with them. So I'm going to try to come back in maybe a couple hours. Maybe we'll do a tape session, maybe not. I still actually have to get through the tape in order to be able to do that with you. But I did want to get on this live a little bit earlier because I did want to talk about the Deebo Samuel situation. And then, of course, what popped up today, which was the conversation about Trey Lance yet again. So interesting. Another interesting day of 49ers content here. But are you surprised? Are you surprised by it or what? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Justin E is king of the Jordan Mason hive. King B, the hive, the Jordan Mason, the Jordan Mason. See my brain working. Jordan, he is king of the Jordan Mason hive. The hive is buzzing. The hive is buzzing. The hive is buzzing. Coach, you're surprised. Don't lie. You're surprised that the second Deebo Samuel follows the 49ers, we're back to talking about the quarterback. You're surprised. Oh, I appreciate that. So, I don't know. I put it out on Twitter because this is technically, the way I perceive it, to be the real dead period of the offseason. Like, I really do see this as the dead period because this is what we're going to be talking about. And I don't want to talk about this all the time. We will address it as things pop up. But I am going to try to effort and bring on other 49ers content creators to talk about this team. So you don't have to hear just from me all the dang time. So I do want to start bringing on some other 49ers content creators. Obviously, you guys know Jason Aponte and Jordan Elliott have been regulars on this channel for about a year now. But other than that, I've been pretty much solo. It's been a solo show. But I do want to get other 49ers content creators on. Who are some people, since we got you guys on here, that you do want to hear from other than just me? That we can bring on, do a little collaboration. Again, that also means that I want to hear from you. That's a pretty intense finger point. I want to hear from you. I'm going to figure out how to do a call-in show. Coach, number one on the list. I'm sorry. Sorry to all my faithful SDS. This has been promised since the beginning of time, and I will not break my promise to Coach. So Coach is number one on the call-in list, but I do want to do call-ins. Want to hear from the SDS, bro. SDS show's about to be lit. SDS show's about to be lit because I know you guys got hot takes for days. But I'm seeing all the guys you guys are dropping in here. I'm seeing some of the names you're dropping in here. Definitely want to get some of these guys on here. Oh, if we could have Parag on, that would be wild. I would love to talk to Parag just to get a perspective from him on this stuff. I mean, he's obviously not going to go into detail on anything, but just to, just get a perspective. That would be interesting. Coach said my monitor is 55 inches. Get your finger out my face, boy. That's a big ass finger. Oh boy. But so this is definitely a part of the off season where I'm gonna start. We're not going to be reacting to content as much, which is going to be the nice thing. Is we aren't going to be reacting as much. We're going to be more specific with our content, different topics, all that kind of stuff, hypotheticals, projections, things like that. So a lot of good names here in the chat. We'll see. We're going to start building some stuff out. Oh, I got to get detail on here too. I know Detail's upset with some of the draft picks, so we got to let him air that out on live. We got to let Detail speak his truths about the ones that got away. So definitely going to start doing that here pretty soon. So shout out to everyone. Appreciate the SDS. Again, this was going to be more of the drama episode, I guess, because the Deebo situation, now the Trey situation. When we come back, maybe later today, hopefully we're going to be more focused. We're going to be more focused on what we're going to be talking about. And if anyone has any questions about the Trey Lance situation, anyone has comments about the Deebo Samuel situation, just point them to this live. Just say, hey, go watch that live. Right now, we're focused. So that's the point. And we'll hopefully maybe start seeing some more faces pop on the show. Maybe start efforting some players again to come back on, starting to get kind of settled. Now, again, this is a makeshift. This is a makeshift backdrop just to be able to go live. So that might be changing. The backdrop actually might be changing. We'll see. We'll see. The coach. Okay, the elephant in the room is Brad has the second biggest YouTube channel, second biggest channel on YouTube for the Niners. Got to get on with Grant. It's only right. 1 and 2. Grant and I, we're like water and oil. Like Grant is, he's kind of like, he's like the godfather, I guess, of this YouTube stuff. Like, I'll give him all that credit in the world. Like, the way that he has like developed the YouTube platform, like, tip of the cap to that man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I won't front. Like, watching the way kind of Grant like build out his thing, I was like, I always wanted to do YouTube. YouTube was always a part of the brand process. But kind of watching how he did it, I was like, oh, he's on to something. So clearly I respect him for the grind and the work and all that stuff. But I do feel like we are a little bit of water and oil in regards to opinions of the team. It would make for probably fire content. It probably would, but we'll see. Maybe one day. But for right now, I definitely want to get some of these other homies on for sure. Not saying it won't happen, not saying it can't happen, but that collab would be interesting because we're so polar opposite in regards to, I think, the way we evaluate the 49ers. So but I do respect the way what he's done. You can't deny it, man. You can't deny it. I mean, you got people who actually hate watch Grant, like straight up fuming out of their ears, like at everything he says, and they hate watch him. I've never experienced anything like that. So like it's wild. He's built quite the empire. So shout out Grant for that. But we do disagree on a lot. We definitely disagree on a lot of things. But I'd love to have Croc on here. That's a good one. Especially to talk about the cornerbacks. That would be a good one. Rob Shue, absolutely want to get him on. Jack Hammer, definitely want to get him on. Wayne Breezy, I'd bring Wayne Breezy on. Who else? There's a lot. Vish, I'd love to have Vish on. I think Vish is quietly one of the smartest guys like doing this right now. Like, Vish could have a career at this. Like, I know that's how smart he is. Like, his hobby, it could be his career if he wanted to. Jesse Naylor, would love to get Naylor on. I like Jesse, man. We got off on the wrong foot. When Jesse said that he wanted to he thought it was a mistake that the 49ers signed Trent Williams. I think that's one of the first takes I'd ever seen from him. I mean, I have a Trent Williams jersey. Like, I was the wrong one to kind of come across that take, and I hadn't really like messed with Jesse yet. But since then, Jesse's a phenomenal guy. I would love to have Jesse on. I just remember one of the first things that I saw Jesse like tweet was like how the 49ers made a mistake signing and not to put him on blast either. I'm not trying to put him on blast. It was the fact of the matter. And I was like, what? I was like, how can you call that? How can you say that? But Jesse's hella cool, man. Jesse's hella cool. So yeah, I want to try to bring some of the guys on. Coach has different thoughts. Middlecoff, Jackhammer, absolutely want to have Jackhammer on. I want to have all the guys on. But it would be cool. It would be cool. Even the Niner by nothing but Niners guys. I respect. I pretty much I have a baseline level of respect for anyone who does 49ers content. So yeah, why not? Just mix it up a little bit. Hear some different takes. Hear different opinions. Some different thought processes. Wouldn't be bad. Wouldn't be bad. So that would be cool. So we're at that point of the off season again. What we're going to be arguing about is going to be rumors. It's going to be manufactured drama. It's going to be like, look, we got Jesse in the chat right now calling out Coach. We need to have a live about it now. Jesse versus Coach. Shout out Jesse. I don't know, you might have heard. I was telling this Trent Williams story. I freaking love that story because I love you now. But it was funny when I saw that you know, I don't got to tell you again. That was fun though. That was fun. Shout out Jesse. Jesse, my guy. Let's see. Fear the Great says Haberman and Middlecoff would be amazing with how you'll articulate yourselves. You two are the only ones I watch. Fun fact: I had been listening to Haberman and Middlecoff on 95.7 The Game since day one of that station starting. And I will also say Haberman and Middlecoff, they were probably my favorite show on that particular call. What's the lineup that they had? I think they had the morning show with like Whitey, Dibley, and forgetting the other guy. They had the morning show. Then they had Haberman and Middlecoff. They came up right after their 2-hour show. Love their show. They were my favorite to just listen to them. I haven't listened to them much since then, but when they were on 95.7, Haberman and Middlecoff were like the go-to. I loved their show because they would talk about football and they would go in depth into football. Like some of these, like, they have to hit their, they talk about baseball. You got to talk about basketball. You got to talk about this. So like, certain shows would kind of touch on like the surface level things. Like with Haberman and Middlecoff, they would like dive deep and they would talk about the nuance. And I loved listening to them talk about sports. I haven't listened to them much recently. I will be honest. But back in the day, go-to. Those guys were my go-to on 95.7 The Game. So, and they're doing cool things over there with their podcast. So a lot of guys, I'd love to have, kind of bring a little cohesiveness to maybe more of the 49ers community, 49ers content gang, and all that good stuff. Ooh, Pat McAfee would be dope. Ooh. I might try that. Shoot or shoot. Shoot or shoot. I might try that. We'll see. Coach says, I'll answer Jesse. Answer Jesse with the super chat. Coach answering Jesse with the super chat. What a flex. He says, you lost me with your Trent take. Wasn't even close. Shook my foundation of trust in you, Jesse. Oh my gosh. Ooh, I like it. I like it. Hey, he stands by it. And he can, and I know he has a thought process, but it wasn't just him like shooting in the dark. I know he has a thought process behind it. He says, I can explain it, and maybe it can be the first appearance on here. Okay. We're already setting up content. We're already setting up content. I love this. Ooh, that's definitely going to be the first thing that we talk about. That's definitely when Jesse's going to get on here one time, and that's going to be the first thing that we talk about. Is so tell me about what that meant to you. Oh my goodness. But so I was hey, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. It didn't sit well with me either because again, I have a Trent Williams jersey. Like I stand Trent. I would have a statue of Trent if I could. So like it obviously didn't hit me well. But I didn't let that, and I tried to be like this with everything. I try not to be rigid. Like, I might not, and that was like one of my first impressions. And so it's like, I'm not going to try to let myself just pigeonhole like everything he says through that one particular take. So I've absolutely warmed up to Jesse 100%. Absolutely. But we're still going to roast him for that take, no matter what. Woo! Good times. Good times. So again, we're already seeing we're already getting a little glimpse of getting some of these other Niner content creators in here. So that's part of it. We'll just talk, man. We'll just talk. Yeah, that was our first interaction too. So couldn't have started like more on the wrong foot, but sometimes that leads to some of the most beautiful relationships. Sometimes you don't always start out on the right foot, but through that you kind of work through it and you're like, this guy's not too bad. This guy's not too bad. We just didn't agree on that particular one. Anyways, I'm gonna get off here because you guys will keep me on this dang thing forever. Somehow you guys keep me on here. It's not your fault. Not like I'm blaming you. I'm headed on 2 hours. We got to get off. Otherwise, it's going to eat into my other live that I wanted to do. So I'm going to head out now. Smash that like button. I saw someone say we're close to 150. Did we hit 150? Did we hit 150 yet? Someone, I need a... Oh, we're at 149. Smash it. Smash it on your way out. Hit that sub if you haven't already. All right, there we go. Shout out to squad. Shout out to SDS. Blue Pass 150. Let's go. Ooh, wow, 160 now. Let's go. Shout out to squad. So again, I'm gonna try to keep coming to you guys with daily lives. We've got May, June, July. Training camp starts at the end of July. So we got about 3 months of stuff. But hey, we're gonna try to come every day. And we are going to try to bring other guys on here, other content creators, other 49ers players, maybe people related to it, maybe people who cover it. We'll see. We'll see. We're going to open up the floodgates a little bit. But shout out everyone, as always, for tapping in. Again, hit that bell button. I wanted to go live again today, but again, this one lasted 2 hours. This is supposed to be like a 45-minute live, guys. This is how I need to work on. I need to work on actually sticking to a time frame. This was supposed to be like a 45-minute live. That was it. Here we are, almost 2 hours in, off the rails yet again. But I love when we get off the rails. We have some of our best content when we are off the rails. But I will try to be back later today. We'll see. I still have to get through the tape. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. We'll see. But shout out to everyone. Again, appreciate you all. You guys are the best. So I'm going to head out. Probably see you later today. That's why you got to keep the bell on. We'll see. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to SDS. We're out of here. Peace.